Hey everybody, Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here with your 4th of July weekend blog. We're also going to talk a little bit about tropical development. That's probably going to be a bigger issue off the southeast coast. Why it is and isn't an issue, but it's certainly something you'll have to watch if you're going to the coast this weekend and especially next week. Let's start with the wider picture here. So first things first, we do have a legitimate front moving through the area. It's kind of slow, it's stalling, but it is going to move through. It's pushing off to the southeast. So today, a relatively dry day. The bigger story with this, I'm going to turn off the satellite imagery because what I want to turn on is the good news here. We're going to turn on the dew point temperatures because dew point temperatures tell you a lot about what's going on out there. We'll turn them on. You see the front pushing through right now. Dew points ahead of this thing. I'm going to turn the dew points on in the 70s. So you see those dew points. We'll make them kind of bigger here so it's easier to see. You see all the 70s, but look at the 60s and 50s. So yes, we are going to see slightly drier air. And by drier, I mean by summer standards. Summer standards means dew points in the low 60s, maybe even some upper 50s. So certainly some better feeling air all in all. We'll turn off the temperatures and the dew points there and focus on the southeast coast. We'll turn off the radar as well. You see that area in orange? This is an area that has a 60% chance of tropical development in the next 7 days, 20% chance in the next 2 days. So there's the potential we're going to see some development. I'll turn the radar back on and the satellite just so you can see what's going on. We expect low pressure to form somewhere in this vicinity and track along the coast and just offshore up like this. And there's a lot of indications that this will be a tropical depression or subtropical depression, possibly low-end tropical storm. And the biggest impact here is this is not going to be a strong system, but it could cause widespread rain, heavy rain, especially right along the coast, and rip currents. Rip currents will be the biggest issue. So let's look at some of the forecasts. So the first product here is something that's really good during the hurricane and tropical season. This is the ensemble model runs of the European model, meaning 51 variations and simulations showing the probability of tropical depression formation. So we'll go into the future here, and you can see the highlights here. I'll go all the way through. Basically, we'll go through next Thursday. I think that's when we'll stop because Thursday's a 7-day outlook, right? So this is between now and Thursday. And if you look carefully, there's a real high probability. It's plus 90% in these probabilities that a tropical depression forms somewhere off the southeast coast. And you can see kind of along the coast, but the trend is pretty far offshore. Now, let's look at the same product for tropical storm, which is 39 miles per hour higher. You look at the same product, not as high. It's about 30 to 40%, which is elevated, but there's definitely a higher probability of a tropical depression. And if you're wondering what's the chance of a hurricane forming, right now it's less than 10%. So this looks to be primarily a tropical storm at the worst, tropical depression most likely overall. We can also look at some of the new AI modeling, which is pretty cool. This is the new AI modeling that Google's put out, but we can also look at the European data here as well. I'm going to shrink this up so you guys can kind of see it a little bit better. We'll kind of shrink it down here. I'm going to shorten this up. Whoops, we'll shorten it. That was not what I wanted to do. So you guys can kind of see some of the labels here. This will make it a little bit easier for you guys to see. So I'll put those on there, and you can see on the left we have observed, experimental model from Google, WeatherGen. These are two versions of the GFS machine learning models as well as the European model. So we'll go into the future here, and it kind of shows all the ensembles, the plots. If you notice, I'm going to stop this on Saturday. You could see something forming generally in that area, the same area the ensembles from the European show. We'll go a little bit further out. We'll go until Sunday, and you can see the European model does form a low pressure off the coast of Wilmington and kind of hugs the coast here. And then we go into Monday night, into Tuesday, something forms and then tries to move up the coast. And by Wednesday, this thing is pushing away. You can actually see the low pressure over here. And then we go a little bit further. And actually, the European model shows a tropical storm forming off the East Coast as it gets up here. Remember, this is over the Gulf Stream the entire time. The Gulf Stream, comes up here and does one of these and then kind of fades off like this. So this would definitely line up with where you're seeing some pretty strong potential for that tropical system. And then you can see all those little dots. Those little dots are where the model thinks a low pressure could form and kind of gives you an idea. So I think that's a really good indication on where we could see that. Now, what's the biggest impact? Because at the end of the day, guys, this is the story. It's not going to be a big windstorm. We're not looking at a bunch of surge. It's going to be rip currents and rain. So let's look at the rain over the next 7 days. And I'm going to go slowly here so you can see it kind of build up. We'll go through Friday night into Saturday. Saturday morning, look at all the rain. It's mainly offshore. We go into Sunday, still pretty far offshore, but look at the coast. You could see that rain kind of lingering there. And then we'll go into Monday. We'll go all the way out 7 days. So we'll go all the way through next Wednesday, or Thursday, excuse me, Thursday morning. Whoops, we'll pause it right there, Thursday morning. So I'm going to move my head out of the way. So you can see most of this activity is offshore, real heavy rain here. But look at the coast, 1 to 2 inches possible. And right now, I'd say North Carolina, eastern part of the state, the Outer Banks, probably has the highest chance of rain. And if you look at this, we'll time this out. We'll back this up here in a second. I want you to focus right on that area there. I'll back this up. If you look at the highest rain chances, it's really not this weekend. It's really like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that we see the highest rain chances out there. So that's going to be the main impact from this. Don't freak out. Don't change your plans, cancel your plans. Because even in the Outer Banks where it looks like it's going to rain, this could be a 1 day, maybe a day and a half event. If you're out there for a whole week, it's not going to wash out your entire week. It looks like 1 day of scattered showers and storms, maybe a day and a half, and then it's gone. So that's the good news. Continue to monitor it, though. That's always the important thing, but don't sweat it. This is pretty typical for an early season system. Stalled front, weak tropical system pushing off to the northeast. Have a great 4th. Otherwise, the weather's perfect the next couple of days. It's all focused on this tropical system on the coast going into next week.